Hello everybody, I've got to make this video now, otherwise I'll never make it, because I'm a lazy sack of shit. I just read an article from my friend Dan's column, let's call it a column, on free thinking that I mentioned in my last video. I know I'm being really sycophantic again, and I'm basically plugging his channel and his column again, and I apologise for that. It won't be mostly me going, hey, I've got a friend, you should help him out. But I think this is not important per se, but I think it's of value. It's from Daniel Miller's, I'm going to call him Daniel Miller because that's his name and that's how I'd refer to him if it was any other person's article. Daniel Miller wrote an article called What is a Freethinker? And the last line of the article really struck a chord with me. I'll just read it for you. What is a freethinker? One who is skeptical of everything they believe. And that includes atheism. So I had to ask myself, am I skeptical of my own atheism? Am I skeptical of my own beliefs? I can honestly answer yes. If I have a thought that contradicts a previously assumed position on something I took for granted, I can't help but notice a contradiction there. It's almost involuntary. And even though I truly am unconvinced by arguments for God, I would say that there are arguments that are less ridiculous than others. Some that I get where they're coming from, you know? I'm not convinced by any argument, otherwise I wouldn't be an atheist, but surely you know what I mean. I mean, I consider the cosmological argument slightly more convincing than the ontological argument. I consider the ontological argument just dross, it's just worthless, it doesn't make any sense. Same with Pascal's wager, I don't see it as being at all convincing. It's not to say that I find the cosmological argument convincing, I just find it more convincing than that which I find completely, ridiculously, demonstrably unconvincing. And indeed it emboldens me to know that even with these slight irritations with the positions I hold, in this case atheism, I'm still convicted in my atheism. I don't want anyone to think that these doubts, we'll call them, are some kind of sign of God. They're really not. I'm completely unconvinced by that argument. And even with these doubts, even if I'm as generous as I can possibly be with any qualms I have with my own positions, these arguments, at the very best, can only prove a very, very weak and diluted form of deism. Some supernatural first cause that you might not even be able to comfortably describe as God, that might not necessarily even be conscious, that might not necessarily even still exist. That's all you can prove, even with the most liberal interpretations of these arguments. And it certainly doesn't justify organised religion. Truly strict and rigorous adherence to special dietary laws and what clothes you can wear and what rituals you have to perform and how you can pray and who you can marry and who you can fuck. None of this is justified. So even as a skeptic who is sometimes even skeptical of my own positions, it truly does astound me that all these arguments are so wholly unconvincing. I do consider myself a skeptic in every sense of the word, and despite all these self-criticisms of my own positions, I'm still quite a convicted atheist, and that makes me kind of more of an atheist, if that makes any sense. I am a man who is skeptical of everything he believes, which has undoubtedly and undeniably resulted in a profound lack of belief in any God.